to be able to find, a wing, for a physical Hall of Fame. I think it's something that they're working on. I don't know if it's something that they want to do there, but I do know it's something that that they more than likely going to do over the next couple of years.
Do you think you should get 2 busts in that Hall of Fame? Would you expect to have 2 statues?
Oh, heck yeah, man. The Harlem Heat got to have its wing, and Booker T have its wing as well,
Pro Wrestling Bits. Subscribe now.
Got the chance to see the Hidden Treasures show on A&E Network. Very entertaining, Booker. I thought you did a great job. You had a great moment with Triple H at the beginning, and your guys' relationship really seems to have grown over the years. So talk about your current relationship with Triple H.
Throughout my career with Hunter, it's always been business. We've never had a friendly relationship throughout our careers. But it's different as you get older, you know what I mean? As you grow, to respect each other. People always go back to our time at WrestleMania, which I always talk about. This business is always a moment, a moment can be here and it can be gone forever, but that one seemed like it has lasted throughout the history and the annals of time. But nah, man, we got a lot of respect for each other, and it's always been about getting the work done. That's one thing I've always respected about Hunter. Even when I was in WCW, and I used to watch, of course we had the Monday Night Wars, and we would have the monitor on, and it would be on WWE TV, and every night, man, that dude was out there busting his butt, man. He was taking the stairs, bleeding, having some crazy matches, and he would always put himself at the forefront to try to make this thing work. I respected that because I always had that same attitude, that same mentality myself, as far as I'm just going to go out here and work and see where this thing takes me. And it's taking me to 2 Hall of Fame rings, so I haven't done too bad.
Not too bad at all. You might get a 3rd Hall of Fame ring as a broadcaster, because it seems like you're doing it all these days, from hosting to commentary, and you're all over this show on the Hidden Treasures talking about Stone Cold Steve Austin and his legendary career. I know you guys were looking for the knee brace and the smoking skull, but is there anything from your legendary double Hall of Fame career that you consider a hidden treasure that you would like found?
Just the WCW Television Championship. That one right there was the one that kind of kicked my career off as a singles wrestler, and it let me know that I could do it. I really didn't know if I could do it until I got a chance to be out there on my own and see how good I really was. And that moment was there again, that moment that's frozen in time in my mind, to where, man, that championship was the one that really put me on the map and let the fans, really get behind Booker T and push it to that next level. I know it's cliche, if it wasn't for the fans, I wouldn't be here, but that's true, man. When I got that title, it definitely gave me a connection with those fans, man. And I remember back then, I had a stupid dumb saying, but it was real, but it's all about the people.
Well, maybe it is, and I know they did try to look for that TV title. Unfortunately, didn't find it. But yeah, it was very much connected to your career as you made your ascent at that level and eventually to the main event level. And I always thought you had a very innovative style with the axe kick and the heel kick and even the Harlem Hangover. Who would you say is the biggest influence on your style and how you work?
Shaw Brothers Productions. I was a big fan of the Shaw Brothers Productions and karate movies and stuff like that. I didn't take a lot of my moves from wrestlers or anything like that. All of my moves came from some movie that I watched, and I tried to create something. That I was a break dancer back in the day, so the Spinarooni came into play. But as well as I took karate, I never actually competed or anything like that. But I always had that feeling to where the Shaw Brothers Productions, I had watched so many of those movies, man. I knew the centipede, the toad, the tiger style, the crane. I knew every one of them. You know what I mean? So I said, let me bring it to the big screen and see how this thing work out. Having my own style was very, very important. And I talk to my students about this as well. I say, in professional wrestling, you're going to be doing the same thing everybody else is doing, and you got to figure out how to do it just a little bit differently in order to be noticed. And so that's what I was trying to do.
And one of your students is Roxanne Perez down there in NXT. And I think that rule you just described applies even more so in NXT, because sometimes they're the same people in a small crowd in Florida. So you really have to know how to stand out. And now she's doing a very unique anxiety storyline. So as your student and as somebody from a different generation that didn't really talk about anxiety, how do you feel seeing Roxanne Perez doing this anxiety storyline in NXT?
I love it because it's about overcoming in life. It's about battling your demons, and being able to move forward. And I know that it's true. Mental illness is true. I got one of my students. His name's Kevin Bernhardt, and he came in. He's my first wrestler, and he's only like about 160 pounds. So he just couldn't make it. And he was a kid who had anxiety problems as well. And he, like I said, he couldn't make it in the wrestling business. So I made him, my writer for the show. And then he started producing the show. And then he started editing the show. And then he started working with all the guys. He's been with me since day one, 18 years. I've put him under so much work, he forgot about he had stress, any problems, so I try to figure out how we can get past, our difficulties. How can we fight, through struggle without actually having to take pills or whatever? Because I say that because I've walked it. I've been in it. I know what it's like to, lose your parents early. I know what it's like to, not have anything. I know what it's like to be locked up. You know what I mean? So to be able to fight through it, which so many people quit in the middle. They feel like it's nothing. Why should I fight? What's there for me? But I say, if you just keep walking towards that light, you might find, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's what this life thing is all about, man. And it's tricky. Life is the hardest thing we're ever going to have to deal with in life. So for me, having a piece of, these young kids' lives, man, it's really important for me to try to guide them the right way.
Do you prefer wearing that hat as a trainer, as a mentor, rather than as a broadcaster in your life after wrestling?
I'm living my best life. I love both. I gotta go to Vegas here tomorrow, and I'm gonna be covering Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. I'll be in the media press scrum. I'll be at Radio Row. I'm a journalist now. That just happened. I have no degree, but I get carte blanche treatment because I take it serious. I love what I do right now. Being in the commentary booth is something I love. Being there with Vic every Tuesday night kickoff shows. I love that part of my life. But the mentoring hat, the coaching hat, that's just something that comes to me naturally. It's not something that it's just like the wrestling business. It's not work. And for me to pass on the knowledge, I think that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job, to try to guide these young people, as well as keep this business alive that I love so much. And I'm going to tell it like it is. I get a lot of hot takes, on a weekly basis, because I always tell it like it is as far as things I love about the business and things that I don't like at all about this business, because I love it and I want to see it around to the day I die.
I want to talk about one of your hot takes that I actually very much agreed with, in terms of you saying that there was a lack of cohesive tag teams, I believe, on the main roster women, as compared to NXT, which I watch NXT every week, and I completely agree. And as somebody who is a singles and tag team Hall of Famer, what do you think is the biggest ingredient that will take a team from being two tag team partners to a cohesive unit?
Well, I think fans got to see a tag team as a tag team almost from the beginning in order to really be able to take them as a true tag team. When you put people together, sometimes it works, most times it don't, but that's what makes, I think, NXT a little bit different than the main roster, because, when you see the Gallus boys finally make it to the main roster, you're going to know exactly who they are. You're not going to, mix them up with anyone. When you see Pretty Deadly make it to the main roster, you're going to say, oh, that's Pretty Deadly. You're not going to say that's, Kit Wilson and Nelton Prince. You're going to say that's Pretty Deadly, but you know who they are. And I think that's what, the main roster need to focus on a little bit more. So I do think it's strong as far as the women division in NXT, as well as, and the draft is coming up. So,
Yeah.
The tag teams, something might could happen. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think the main roster could use some more established, teams to actually come up and help.
And without getting far ahead of yourself, who does stand out as somebody who watches NXT every week? As a journalist, who stands out to you as somebody who could get called up and should to the main roster?
I wouldn't say should. I don't put myself, in that, place right there or anything. That's a little bit higher than my pay rate. But guys that possibly could make that next level. The one guy I really got my eye on is Grayson Waller, just because he's got the maturity to actually be able to step up to the main roster and be able to handle that thing a little bit differently. He's a little bit more seasoned than a lot of the guys in NXT. So I really feel like if Grayson Waller was to get a call up throughout the draft or something like that, I think it would be a pop for the crowd, the people. I really don't think people realize how over this guy really is. He's over, man. Just his music alone and his walk out and his swag, man. He's a guy that really could make a huge splash.
Yeah, very much enjoy Grayson Waller. I think he's very committed, and I think he'll go very far in this business. So I completely agree with that. And back to the Hidden Treasure show, in terms of you guys finding all these artifacts, I know that you guys had them on display, I believe, at the Royal Rumble with this episode, and you take them to different live events. Do you ever see a physical Hall of Fame being built? I know that was something that was being discussed pre-pandemic, but I don't know what the status is there. But do you feel like that would be viable, a physical WWE Hall of Fame?
I think that's something that WWE has been thinking about for a long time. It's just a matter of when they were going to pull the trigger on it. I do know in Stanford right now they have like the most awesome new building. It's huge, man. It's 3 times the size, maybe 4 times the size as the original building that they have. And to be able to find a wing for a physical Hall of Fame, I think it's something that they're working on. I don't know if it's something that they want to do there, but I do know it's something that that they more than likely going to do over the next couple of years.
Do you think you should get 2 busts in that Hall of Fame? Would you expect to have 2 statues?
Oh, heck yeah, man. The Harlem Heat got to have its wing, and Booker T have its wing as well. I don't want to mix the 2 together, man, because those were 2 separate lives. I mean, literally, I lived 2 lives in this wrestling business because my brother and I, we were together for, including our global wrestling days, for 10 years. A little over 10 years together. And then, I did another run on my own, for another, 20 pretty much. So it's definitely been a thrill ride, man, that I'm still on, man, like a snowball going downhill. It just seemed like it just keep getting bigger and bigger, man. And I don't even question it anymore, man. I just say, thank God. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and the Reality of Wrestling podcast is doing a great job adding your profile and becoming bigger. You talk about all kinds of things. And of course, a hot button issue right now, AEW looking to go to Wembley. How many tickets do you think they sell? How close do they come to selling that out?
I don't want to discount those guys or anything like that as far as, how well they're going to do or how, how many tickets they're going to sell or anything like that. But I do know that this is a big move going to Wembley. Just to get in Wembley and do something like that, it's big for that company. It reminds me of the WCW days as far as, man, this thing is really getting hot. The bigger AEW get, the bigger the wrestling business is going to get, I think. But this right here, this is a true test for that company, and we'll see exactly what grade they get after the show. Maybe we can reconvene and talk about it again.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll hold you to that. But thank you, Booker. I really appreciate it. Very much enjoy the show and enjoy you on Tuesday nights on NXT. So keep killing it.
Juggy, quack, quack. Appreciate it, brother.
Sounds good.